Good afternoon and thanks for joining us in this edition of the program. They call them nation builders, people who inspire young people to be able to make a choice when they grew up. People that thanks to them we are able to stand anywhere today and talk and live freely. We are talking about no other person than teachers. You know, today is the 5th of October and we are celebrating the World Teachers Day, the 30th edition. And in this edition of the program, we shall be looking at the value of teachers in Cameroon, the voice of the teacher, how it can contribute to building new social contracts. Plus, 2025 is always on our mind as we look forward to the presidential elections. And in today's edition, we take interest on the different alliances that are sprouting up from left to right, especially within the ranks of the opposition. Notably, we shall be zooming on the UPC, the oldest party in the country, that this week were into squabbles. We had a faction that came out to support Akere Muna as the presidential candidate, and another faction that came out to say the CPDM candidate will be their candidate. We shall have all that in this edition of the program. Do not move a muzzle. We want to wish a happy Teachers' Day to all the teachers out there, to say you are doing a beautiful job to build the nation Cameroon. Before we shall come back to discuss on the topics we have today, beginning with the Teachers' Day, of course, let's go and have some reports talking about the preparation this week ahead of the D-Day, which is today.
This is the chief town of the southwest region of Cameroon. After the 1st of October, during which activities were grounded, Boya is trying to pick up. Life is gradually returning to normalcy. Shops and other business places are booming. Markets, motor parks are jammed to capacity. Pupils and students have returned to school with more taxis and private vehicles plying the streets and highways. Uncertainty continued to loom in the minds of Southwest inhabitants following the abduction of the divisional officer of Idiabato and one of his collaborators. Dio Ewane Roland and Itongo Ismael are still under pirate captivities more than 24 hours after they were kidnapped. They are nowhere to be found. Southwest inhabitants condemns the atrocity. Governor Benau Kaliabilai has called on the population to join hands with forces of law and others to ensure the release of the civil administrator and the council staff.
But the situation, as far as security is concerned, is under control because the men could not the government could not face our forces of law. They did it in less than 20 minutes and they ran away, which means that they cannot confront our forces.
Efforts of both countries, Cameroon and Nigeria, are being put in place to rescue the two kidnappers.
But we're inviting the rest of the population and the rest of the forces of law and administrative authority and all the officials elected to remain vigilant.
Southwest inhabitants in general and the young population in particular are hoping for a happy end of the incident.
These lots of the chalkboard approach their profession with passion and dedication, driven by a strong sense of professionalism that compels them to achieve outstanding results. However, they are still awaiting for the acknowledgement of their rights and the signing of their teacher status.
A teacher is one of the most resource persons in the society. They have an authorized voice as far as education is concerned. For this 30th edition, we have to valorize teachers towards a new social contract.
In these climates of demands, the celebration of World Teachers' Day takes a special significance. Teachers are reaffirming their commitment to education and expressing their desire for their profession to be valued. They hope that this day will serve as an opportunity to amplify their voices and highlight the crucial role they play in society.
Verily, the government fulfilled some of their promises, but a lot is yet to be done. Teachers are still on wait for the government to sign their particular status in the form of an appreciation for what we do in the society.
As the country gears up to honor these educators, the questions of recognizing their work remains at the forefront of their concerns. United in their struggle, Cameroonian teachers hope that meaningful change is on the horizon. Valuing the voice of the teaching profession towards a new social contract for education, teachers from the private sector convened in Douala to articulate their grievances. Both active and retired educators shared their experiences, revealing the unfair treatment they endure in their roles.
The teachers' work is such that we live under deplorable conditions. There is no security. Our wages are being maltreated. We face sanctions, dismissals, and all of that, which is not fair. Even our rights are not being respected. We are expected to fulfill our duties to the letter without our rights being respected.
Amidst the collegial atmosphere, the educators revisited the pressing issues affecting their profession. Among their main concerns are the lack of bonuses and the meager salaries that resemble those of catechists, which they find unacceptable for their qualifications and dedication.
Talking about our employers, they take advantage of us, not let's say sanctioning us, dismissing us, imposing on us conditions which do not satisfy, paying us and ending a match which is not satisfactory, yet they are expecting too much of us, so it's a time for us to stand up.
Just 3 days ahead of World Teachers' Day, these educators committed to making their voices heard during their traditional parade on October 5, their dedication made public on October 2 during a preparatory meeting for the upcoming celebrations emphasizes their determination to fight the equitable treatment and recognition in their educational landscape.
Parents think we have become babysitters. We just have to do everything for the child, but they forget to know that the education of the child starts from the foundation, from the child's origin.
The gathering marks a pivotal moment for private school teachers in Douala as they rally together advocating for their rights and calling for systematic changes to support their vital role in education.
You're welcome back, and with me in the studio I have 3 gentlemen and a lady. We shall go straight to welcome them. I begin from my right, where I have Kumjerum. You've been here before, you are here again. It's a pleasure. Kumjerum is a teacher here in Douala. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be on your platform, especially today, which is a day set aside to, give value to us nation builders and, developers of the world. Yeah. Thank you very much, as we will be unfolding or unveiling a lot of things, the love and the passion that we have for our profession and the love that the country equally have towards us teachers, including you.
Thank you so much. By you is Keja Robert. He is a teacher as well and a politician. He has been here several times. Mr. Keja, it's a pleasure to have you again once here on this platform.
Thank you very much. Special greetings to you and my co-panelists, and also to those that are at home that have taken their time to listen to us as we are giving our views on things that are happening in our nation. Special greeting to the entire institution of Canal that have put in place this beautiful edifice that give us opportunity to always come and express our view in our nation, since it is one of the pillars of President Paul Biya promoting freedom of speech and freedom of expression. I'm honored to be here today. I'm not putting on my Teachers' Day wear because I am dissatisfied with the situation of teachers in the private sector.
Okay.
I repeat, teachers in the private sector.
Okay.
Within the program, I'll explain my dissatisfaction on what they are going through.
For sure, we shall get to that. And by my left, I have Barrister Asong Michael. This is your first time in this platform. He is an aspiring candidate for the presidential elections in 2025. You're welcome.
Thanks, sir, and thanks to all our viewers. I wish to seize this opportunity to wish a happy Teachers' Day to all our wonderful teachers in Cameroon, and most particularly to my mom, who is also a teacher.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I'm here today to share on this panel my opinion and my views about giving more value to teachers, because they are the backbone of everything, and particularly our sustainable development.
And I have Madam Akwenba Nadje. I hope I got it. I'm always confused with Nadje and Nadia.
Yeah.
Nadje, she is the youth president of the UPC. She doubles like the spokesperson of the party. You're welcome, madam.
Thank you, Mr. Hyacinth. It's a pleasure having me on your platform. Special greetings to all my co-panelists from the CPDM, the other teacher, and our independent, candidate for the next presidential elections.
Yeah.
I will not steal most of the time, but I want to talk about, recently we celebrated the International Day for the Fight Against Breast Cancer.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a call for concern because a lot of women around the Black continent, they don't have a good knowledge on breast cancer.
Yeah.
It was being celebrated, I think that was yesterday. So I want us to, develop the education around this, very aching issue, because a lot of women are infected by this, and most of them don't even know the symptoms, how to fight it, how to, fight against it. They say knowledge is power. So I think that one of the jobs you're supposed to be doing is try to create an awareness around this disease, especially for the Black women around the Black continent. Thank you
so
very much.
We are diving straight into our discussions, and I just want to let our viewers know that you can equally follow us through our social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube. You just go to Canada International, and then you will be there to watch the program wherever you are. I begin with you, Jerome. The focus this year, let's look at the theme, valuing teachers' voices towards a new social contract for education. My interest, new social contract. What exactly are they demanding from teachers at that angle?
Thank you very much, Mr. Hyson. Education and pedagogy has been evolving from time immemorial, and at each era or epoch, there are designs. There are new aspects that the curriculum planners and developers, they want the citizens of a particular country to acquire. So now, valuing teachers' voices, a new social contract, the theme itself, it reveals that teachers' place has not always been given. That is, the voices of the teacher in the building of a nation, in developing Cameroon in particular, has not always been heard. It is rather unfortunate that the teacher, who is the implementer of the curriculum, has always been kept aside when vital decisions concerning the education of a people are concerned. Teachers get direct feedbacks because they are like the foot soldiers on ground who meet the reality of what ought to and ought not to be done, and the kind and quality of citizens we want to acquire or have in the next 5-10 years will depend on the curriculum. And the person who put this curriculum into practice is the teacher. But unfortunately, the voice of the teacher have been silent for long. Teachers have been facing a lot of challenges, and they have been minimized for many years. And these challenges have exposed them to a lot of risks and difficulties. That's why today a teacher has been relegated to the background, even worse than an unskilled worker. That is, a worker who has not undergone formal training. Teachers are being, assaulted in schools, being demeaned by especially school proprietors of the private sectors who feel that at some point in time they are doing a favor to some of these valuable and able men and women who are reshaping the country to give it the real face that it's supposed to have.
Thank you. I will be coming back to you. Kezia, you started by saying that you are showing compassion to teachers in the private sector. Maybe you come back to that and really tell us what you mean by you really want to put a cap on the teachers of the private sector.
Yes. The issue is that teachers in the private sector are not protected by their ministers. When I say teaching, I mean basic, secondary, and higher education. They are not actually protected. Are you aware that the regional delegations don't even find out to know if teachers have signed their contract? If you are controlling a ministry, and you have teachers, and you don't even have the contract that these teachers, because they are personnel, even though they are in the private sector, but they are under the ministry of the various ministries, you are supposed to have their contract. If a law could have been put in place that all teachers should sign contract with their school and it should be deposited at the level of the divisional delegation, you realize that all teachers will sign their contract and there will be no way for this proprietor to exploit them. Are you aware that some of our female teachers still have difficulties getting jobs with conditions that are immoral? When I say immoral, everybody listening to us understand what I'm talking about, to get a job. Are we aware that teachers still go through that? I mean in the private sector. Are we aware that...
Are you saying that it doesn't happen like that in the public sector?
In the public sector, you are a government teacher, you have your matricle from your own. Why should a principal give you condition to give you a job? Why do you want me to be explicit?
It may not be at the level of employing the teacher, but anyway, just write on.
No. See.
Anyway, Barrister, you come in later.
What I mean is that
yes.
The teachers in the private sector, they are desperate. But when you go to those in the public sector, they have over 200 and something thousand, and they have what they call connection, that if they have such conditions, they will try it. We know the case of a video, an audio that leaked of a woman that was a teacher, and the husband was working at the judiciary. We know what happened. However, my point is that those in the private sector, we don't know, they are not signing contract. The ministry should have this, especially their timetable. You are paid 50,000 and you go to school on Monday to Friday, and you have more than 40 hours. Because of the condition, you accepted it. Because
there are some months that the 50,000 doesn't even come.
Of course, it does not come, especially at the month of April and May when they are preparing for exam. They will tell that the salary of April will be paid in May. When May comes, they have gone on holiday. They have to take it back the next year, September. And if you don't come back to that very school, you will not have your salary. Those are some of the things they are going through, those in the private sector are going through. Now, I don't want to talk about those in the public sector because I am in the public sector. We are fine. My colleagues just want to compete. Can you imagine that?
Okay.
No, excuse me.
I take it from you that you are fine.
No, excuse me, please. Excuse me. We of the public sector, minimum when you come back from school, you have about 245,000, and you go to school about 2 days. I'm talking about those in the private sector that go to school from Monday to Friday, and they have about 50,000, 60,000. It's too much.
Yeah. Thank you.
That is why I am collaborating with those in the private because they are suffering. Those in the public sector, human one is never enough. We always complain that we have more. But I think I should cry for those in the private because they are actually suffering. Even you look at this last example before you hand over the microphone, we have PTA teachers in this very government schools. 50,000, 60,000. And they work more than even those that are matriculated government.
So what happens to those are the things what happens to the fabulous sums that the government schools are collecting in the name of PTA?
That is why I am saying that they are not protected. The PTA teachers are not protected, and those in the private sectors are not protected.
Thank you so much. You wanted to react maybe briefly to what he said?
I just want to say that the fact that he's fine does not mean that everybody is fine. There is
I say that there are government teachers that are suffering.
Of course. Sir, please.
50,000. How can you compare the two? One is better than the other, just from the salary. 250 and 50,000. One should be better.
It's okay, but it's right on.
Well, what I just wanted to say is that if he's fine does not mean that everybody is fine. There's a statistics that was being brought out, I think, by BBC that said about 40,000 teachers have not yet had access to the public service. And there is a case, I don't know if you know it. No, it's not the private sector. And they said in that particular report that the state owes government teachers a sum of about 180 billion francs CFA. And more to that.
It has been paid.
No,
before OTS.
No, please.
No, just please.
Not the entirety, though.
And more to that, we have cases of teachers like Madame Maneken Olivia, who had been in service for over 23 years without salary, without being integrated. So these are the things we are talking about. It's true. Certain teachers are fine, but then there are other teachers in the public sector who have a lot of problems, and those things need to be trashed.
Madam Akwen, he made mention of the fact that teachers are mostly sidelined when it comes to policy making. Do you share that view?
Before answering your question, I would like us to first of all understand who a teacher is.
For sure.
A teacher is a facilitator.
Yeah.
He's a transmitter. He's a nation builder. Yeah. So I think that in a society, a teacher should be put at the limelight, like a god.
Yeah.
You know, but the context in Cameroon is the opposite. Teachers are not valued. They don't give them that value. Teachers are not respected. Teachers are not given their rightful position. We all know that the Anglophone crisis we are suffering today was being provoked by teachers and lawyers, meaning that teachers are the backbone of the society. Yeah. Yet in Cameroon, we don't value them. Now, I'm talking about your question. Yeah. You said that teachers are not being paid normally. That's what you said?
No, I said we are talking about the private sector teachers, where you made mention of the fact that some have been paid 50,000 francs, and the salary at times is not even very regular.
Yes. Yeah. I queue with my co-panelist, Kedia, because, you know, the private sector is not being protected. Even the syndicates we are having, they don't protect the rights of the teachers. Yeah. My question is, who is supposed to fight for the rights of those teachers? The government. Because we know recently CONACT released that Cameroon is the most corrupt country in Cameroon. In the world, one of the most corrupt countries around the world. Okay, you will see a private school who pays a teacher lesser than the minimum wage that was being installed by the government, yet the school keeps functioning. Yeah. Meanwhile, when you go to Yaoundé, they have two pay slips. One is in Yaoundé and one is what they use in paying the teachers. So you see that from the base, it is being corrupt. So I think that we are supposed instead to blame the government, who have refused to protect the rights of the private sector. And on the other hand, I would tell you that teaching has left its nobility because it has been polluted. Why do I say so? A lot of people find teaching as my final bus stop. You will see somebody who has tried everything and it's not working, say, let me go into teaching. And that is why at the end of the day, you get frustrated. Because teaching is a passion, is a calling. If you are a transmitter, it means you're a nation builder. Yeah. So most of these people from the private sectors are not there to transmit the education. They are not there because they want to facilitate the knowledge. Yes, they just want to get into the ends meet. And even from the government sector, recently we had a lot of teachers who have left their post and they have traveled out for greener pastures. If you are being called as a teacher, if you have that vocation, that love, you will not leave your job.
That is to tell you
it's
that
a passion.
Even the well-paid teachers in the government sector, most of them are still very disgruntled.
But poor people don't go to Europe. To go to that Europe is about 5 million.
People don't go to Europe. A lot of them are taking the Mediterranean Sea. Yeah. They are taking the desert just to meet
those that they pay 50,000 in the private sector, can they pay?
And let me tell you, someone who is a call teacher, someone who loves that, that discipline. Yeah. Despite the pay, you will persevere. We have a lot of people, like parents, who have stayed in that teaching field because they love the teaching, not because of the money. So that is why I will blame some teachers, because they have polluted this thing that has become so noble. And that is why you see a lot of ills in our teaching field. Teachers who sleep with their students is not lawful. Teachers who rape children, you sodomize children. Okay? Yeah. As a teacher, you are the one who builds the nation. Okay? Yeah. You are the one who is supposed to be at the limelight of good character. But at the end of the day, we find out this sector is so polluted. And that is why most of them, they get frustrated. The first thing is for you to love what you are doing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Violence on teachers. Teachers are supposed to be the light. How do we solve the problem of violence on teachers in our schools?
Of course, violence takes two forms when it concerns teachers today. So we have the violence being perpetrated by other civilians, like in the case of the Anglophone crisis, where you have our fellow liberator fighters who actually prevent students and teachers from accessing their sites of schools and actually having accessibility to their right to education, which is a fundamental human right. Yeah. But not only withstanding that, we have a second type of violence. Yeah. And this type of violence is quite dangerous and scary. And it is violence perpetrated by students and their parents upon their teachers. So today we have some sort of moral decadence in our society, and our young ones, we have the impression that they have missed the mark. And this is just to show that the government has failed in its plan or vision for the family and the individuals. So we realize that on a nutshell, teachers are not protected. Yeah. They are extremely vulnerable today. So what do we need to do? So if we take the first case, we need to put an end to the Anglophone crisis. It's a fundamental problem in Cameroon. It's a problem in which we are still struggling to identify our true personality as a nation and as well as our true existence. So we must strive to, first of all, put an end to the Anglophone crisis. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing will be to make sure that teachers are being protected in their schools. And that will need the participation of parents, because we realize that most parents today, when teachers struggle to correct them in schools, the parents come and they scold at the teacher instead of scolding at.
Some even send their children to come and tell the teacher not to beat them.
Exactly. Threats. Threats.
Let me tell you.
Briefly,
these policies are being, brought to the limelight by the government, because recently we saw the Minister of, Secondary Education, Nalova Yonga, who said that any teacher who beats a child will be brought to book. We saw another video circulating around social media where a provisor, a discipline, a principal of a school in front of students telling the teachers that the day you raise a hand. So all of these things are the policies, you see, all of these policies are being. They are not good policies that favor the protection of teachers.
So there is need to.
The problem is the government. Yes,
of course,
it's the government.
Of course. Thank you.
I think the government has a part to play, but the way I look at it is, let's not only focus on the formal education. It's what we call informal education, which actually begins at home. Learning does not begin in school, the 4 walls of school. Now, to learn a child how to say good morning, politeness, or social ethics, it commences from the home.
It comes like values.
Yes, it comes by value, by the norms, which means I think we can bring in the parent, because also in this educational triangle, parents at times are often left out, transferring all the responsibility to the teacher. The teacher becomes the teacher, it becomes the parent, it becomes everything. I think that parents equally need to do their job.
Do you know that the management of human resources is very difficult? Human beings are very difficult to manage.
Human management is complex.
It's very difficult.
But when it comes,
just a minute.
When it comes to education, the difficulties we face is that one aspect is being neglected. Parents should take up their responsibility. Teach them on good morals. Teach them on how to go about the virtues and values of the society, while the school is there to reinforce and build up the capacity in that child. Remember, no child comes to school as a tabula rasa. It comes with knowledge. It only needs what? Somebody to bring that knowledge to limelight, to fruition, so that the capacity can manifest to its fullest. So I think if this is done, we will be saving a situation.
Thank you so much. Kezia, on a day like this, should Cameroonian teachers be celebrating or reflecting?
No, it's a day in which we do much more of reflecting, to look at our successes, to look at our failures, and to think about what we can do to progress. So I think that is what a day of commemoration teachers should do. I appreciate my co-panelists for all what they have said, but I still go back to my own point. They have spoken well in big grammar, but I go back to my own point.
Not repeating the same thing,
Mr. Hyson,
yes.
Are you aware that there are teachers in primary school that they don't pay their salary and they eat the food of children that they come bring to them because of salary?
Yes, I do.
They have spoken. I am saying what is in the field.
Yes.
We agree with you.
I think you guys are saying the same thing in
what
different,
I'm saying
in
is
different
that
words.
the problem is that all these things you meet them, but in the private sector mostly.
Yeah.
So
mostly. Now, for me, I think that by now, all divisional delegates should have contracts of teachers to ensure that they are paid. They should have the timetable of teachers to know if they are overexploited in the private sector. Their contracts, their timetable, and most importantly, their CVs. How can you be a divisional delegate, a regional delegate, and a minister, and we don't know who is teaching within your sphere of influence? The level of qualification. Are you aware that there are people with degrees that are teaching HND?
Of course, I know.
How can you have a degree and you are teaching those with HND?
And they even have the degree.
What are they?
And they even have the degree in general education, and they teach professional courses education at the level of the HND.
Those are the things that the ministries are supposed to know the personnel of the private sector.
Okay, just a minute for him to learn.
I really want
briefly, Kezia, we are moving out of this.
And secondly, if a teacher in the private sector is not paid, who is he going to meet? Their association of teachers to revindicate, or they are going to court? Who is there to protect them? They don't have to eat. So going even to a police station to have a convocation, to even, you don't have the money, you don't have even the money to get a lawyer. How do you protect yourself? So we need someone to protect them. I appreciate my co-panelists. They are speaking the good grammar. It's okay. But I'm talking the situation. Yes. Why am I saying so? I hold the chalk since 2011. Before I was privileged maybe to go to a call normal, which I'm not up to 1 year in the public service. So I know what I am saying I'm talking about. I know what I went through.
Okay, thank you.
That I really need to denounce that those in the private sector are suffering, and they need to ensure that actually they should not be overexploited. Their salary should be paid.
Okay, let me give your colleague the last word on this before we move out.
Yes, Mr. Kezia, when you talk of those in the private sector, the misery is there, but I look up to the government. Look at it this way. There's, please.
It's an issue of regulation.
Yes, it's an issue of, please. Yes. Go on. Mr. Kezia, wait. Look at a parent. First, let's look at it from this standpoint of view. Because when I look at maybe the challenges and difficulties faced by teachers are not orphaned. They are citizens of a country who are supposed to benefit from the all-round protection of the state. There's a minimum wage rate, which means there is no control. Wait, let me learn. There's a parent who is unable to pay school fees in the private sector, and a whole lot of them. And you will discover that some of these school owners, they go extra mile to pay these people. And if they are unable to pay, maybe they are qualified. They don't have jobs. They don't have anything. They do minor jobs but they try their best to send the children to school.
In as much as I agree with you, there are equally schools where school fees about 300,000, but at the end of the day, the teacher who is being paid. So at times,
50,000.
Okay, protecting proprietors, but I still say it,
gentlemen. I see
all those that are watching. Please, teachers in the private sector are supposed to be protected.
Okay, please, Kezia, we don't have. Kezia, we don't have time.
Because they are not well paid.
Yes,
they should be
and they look tattered.
I understand.
They look tattered.
Kezia, we get you. Kezia, we get your point. We get your point. Please, in less than 1 minute before we move out.
Yeah, what I would just like to say is that the issue we are having here is an issue of policy.
Yeah.
And it's the government to make sure that the educational sector is well organized and things are being carried out appropriately. So it therefore means that the government is supposed to come up with a statute for teachers that will put in place the working right of all teachers, whether it has to be with minimum wages, because you cannot compare the minimum wage of a teacher and the general minimum wage. Those are two different things, because a teacher has a better role to play in the development of our nation. So I think it's all about that. So
it is important for the labor code to cut across
all of these things. And I think the problem, as you said, I agree with you.
We don't really have time. We shall be moving to our next topic. But then let's take these two elements that will drive us into the next talking point.
Their battle is to save the soul of our great country, Cameroon, by bringing the so-desired change and subsequent development. The coalition of 20 political parties and civil society organizations now have a name, Akere Muna, as candidate for the 2025 presidential race in Cameroon, especially with the competence, integrity, and vision he carried, the vaccine for corruption.
Cameroon don't get a vaccine for corruption.
with lawyer, anti-corruption, civil society tentacles.
I want them to know that I am conscious of the cry of the people of this country. I am conscious of their suffering. And I'm conscious that we are engaged in a battle to save the soul of this country.
With the candidates now, mobilization from the UPC, Univer, PAP parties, SDF members, civil society actors, among many, alongside icon Eric Chinje, imperative.
How do we go out there and mobilize people and walk the talk in ensuring that this, our candidate, who we know reflects the wishes and aspirations of the people of this country, wins the election and brings the necessary change that we need in this country.
Akaremuna is back as candidate. In 2018, he was candidate for the Now movement. He built the home, but at the end of the day, his candidacy was withdrawn in favor of Maurice Kamto and CRM.
If UPC is on the same boat with somebody, he will never fail. We will win.
A coalition single candidate, Akaremuna, endorsed by the Univer Party on behalf of the others for non-renewable transitional mandate.
In a context where you discover there are some people talking on behalf of UPC, talking with the other political party, saying that they are giving the support of UPC to the other candidate that they can have from another political party. That's why we came out in terms of united group to let the entire nation knows that UPC is going to participate to the next coming presidential election in 2025. And that through that participation, we will keep our alliance with CPDM in sort of way that the candidate of the UPC will come from the alliance that UPC has with CPDM.
You're welcome back. Madam Aquin, you are of the UPC, 2 candidates in 1 week from UPC. Maybe you make our audience understand how did we find ourselves, how did the UPC find itself at that position?
Mr. Hyacinth, you know, when I see all what's happening in the UPC, I cry. Do you know why? Because UPC is the founding fathers
of course, the oldest party in Cameroon.
The oldest party. We fought for Cameroon's independence. Yeah. And one of our manuscripts was to have, you know, a reunification before the independence. But still, we didn't have it that way. If we would have listened to if the government of this country, or they that got the independence, would have listened to the manuscript or the agenda of the UPC, I tell you, we wouldn't have been having all these things. We talk about the Anglophone crisis. We talk about so many issues we are having. Today, we are seeing the UPC. Anybody will just go on a platform, talk about a party who carries the name of Cameroon. Yes. Talk about a party where the blood of the people who founded this party was being spilled for the elevation of this country. UPC is not what people portray it. UPC is a party who wants the emancipation of Cameroon. Now, looking at what we're calling the coalition, we have, you know, some, you know, different opinions. Yes. For me, I think it's different opinions. They call UPC le panier du crabe. It means what? We fight amongst ourselves, but we have the same vision. So we're listening to the other SG, which is, you know, Honorable Mbapo, yes, who said that he's giving his support to the CPDM. And the other person said they are aligning with, yes, you know, the coalition with Akaremuna. I think it's just a different in, you know, their interest, but we have the same vision, which is to give Cameroon its emancipation. See that Cameroon will live from the bankrupt state, which we are having, to that elevated stage, well wished by our founding fathers, the Yobe, the Félix Roland Moumier, the Ndeye Toumaza, and all that. So it is very aching to see that people will go on platform criticizing the UPC. We have done this, we have done that. No. We are a party who has rules and regulations. So what you're seeing there is just we are just We are just being diversified.
Madam Akwen, you are a youth leader in this party. With all this happening, where do you belong?
I, for once, I will tell you for the truth. The UPC will have a candidate, and that candidate will not give its support to they that have destroyed our agenda. They that did not want to listen to the voices of the founding fathers of this party. It means what? I am not in accord with what the other person, Honorable Mbapo, said, because he said he's giving his support to, the ruling party.
The candidate of the CPDM.
Yes. In 2025, the UPC will have a candidate. A candidate, because our new law was we are going out to get what is rightfully ours. Because I tell you, the leadership of Cameroon should be given to the UPC and not the CPDM. Even the strong man of the CPDM is a UPC member from scratch. From the base.
Okay.
So he understands and he knows that UPC has the force to bring Cameroon to its peak. So I tell you, we are going to present our candidate in due time. What you're seeing is just mere distraction. And this distraction is being caused by the regime. Because they have this power of they like dividing people so that they are going to reign. They have come into the party, a party who has its rules and regulations. You will not come into that party and you start, appointing secretary generals. We have our rules and regulations.
Okay, thank you.
So this disorder in the party is being caused by the ruling party, which I have a representative here on board. He's more there to tell us about the disorder they are causing.
Keja, I will come to you, but just hold on. I see you itching, but let me get to this guy first. What is the motivation behind you wanting to be an independent candidate for the upcoming elections?
Thank you very much, Mr. Ascent, for that question. It's rather catastrophic and a pity that in Cameroon today, we don't have an opposition. Opposition ended since in the 60s. When Omyobe was assassinated.
We have about 360 political parties.
There is no opposition in Cameroon.
Okay.
And the proof is immediately President Ahidjo was able to crush the UPC. The next party was his party.
The UPC is not crushed.
No, it was no.
Anyway, sorry.
The spirit
is not crushed.
Please, let me talk. The UPC party ended when Omyobe died.
No, that's for you.
It's my opinion. It's my opinion. It's my opinion. That's
I am a UPC member and a youth leader.
It's my opinion.
You cannot tell me on a pedagogic
barrister.
I'm sorry.
It's my
barrister. I want us, please, barrister. I want us to put the right words in the right hole.
No, it's my opinion.
UPC do exist. Maybe if you can be talking of its influence that has been reduced.
I think it's my
Madam Akwen.
Answer the question.
Madam Akwen,
it's my freedom of speech.
Yes, go on, please.
And I was going to learn.
We don't really
because
have time.
I was saying that there is no opposition in Cameroon.
Okay, that's your opinion.
And that's my opinion, of course, because when you look at every party today, even the UPC we are talking about, when you listen to a UPC member saying that he's going to uphold the candidacy of CPDM. What are we talking about? A kingdom fighting against itself cannot stand. We should stop deceiving ourselves.
Do you know that there is also a strategy?
Madam Akwen, let him land,
please. I'm talking. And that's the reason why I today decided to go in for presidency. Because I realized that all... I am going in as an independent candidate, and that's why I did not choose a political party, because I know that every
Madam
Akwen is an opposition.
Madam Akwen, let him land,
please.
He's neither of the opposition nor of the ruling party.
I did not say that I am not an opposition. I said that I am not going.
Listen, Keja, please.
Please, I think people should let me speak. Everybody has his time. When people are talking
for independent candidates, I don't want us to mix things. Please, let him land. We are rather killing time. Let him land. Let him land. Mr. Keja, let him land and you will talk, please.
No. I understand that it's painful. But the problem we are having in Cameroon is that we don't speak the truth. You cannot be in a party and you have people there who are supporting the CPDM and you say that you are of the opposition. I'm sorry, you are not. You are another CPDM party, another satellite party. And that's what I'm saying. All parties in Cameroon are under that category. Be it the SDF, be it the MRC, they all have members. They started with the CPDM. And that is the reason why I'm going in today. Because I believe that I am a Cameroonian that has a spirit of our founding father, Umnyobe.
Okay.
And it's a spirit. It's not about a party and the rest. It's a spirit. And that's why today when people listen to me speak, they say, this guy looks like the person Umnyobe prophesied.
Okay.
So that is the reason. Please let me just land.
Yes.
So the independent candidacy is all about understanding the political dynamics of Cameroon. And that's why, if you realize, nobody has been able to be an independent candidate in Cameroon. And that is because the secret to the presidency and to the succession after Paul Biya is found in the independent candidacy, because no political party can do that. Thank you.
Keja, you listened to Marama Kwen.
Yes.
I saw you were so itching to respond. What is happening with the UPC? Should that be something to celebrate at the level of the CPDM, or you rather have a different view about it?
No, as a member of the CPDM, we welcome everybody that support and promote our candidacy. But before I go into that, I just want to make this clear. Before I started doing politics and to be a communicator of the central committees, because I have the capacity, being a politician and to have done political science is not something simple. Yeah. What I want to say is that in every presidential election, there is an incumbent. And a part of the incumbent, if you belong to a political party or you are independent, you are an opposition. Those are the principles. All right.
Please,
let me go further to come back to talk about what happened in Yaoundé. I have a very great respect for former bâtonnier and senior barrister Kere Mona. I was happy when I saw that he became a candidate, and I think he was supported by 2.5 parties. I believe Univers, PAP, and of course a section of the UPC. That's why I call it a half party. But my issue is that many of them, they don't know the difference between an alliance and a coalition. That's where the problem comes from. Can a right-wing party and a left-wing party form a coalition? When is a coalition formed? Is it formed after a government, when they want to create a government? Then before election, is it an alliance that you have an alliance for an election? After the election, you have a coalition. But they are not yet gone for an election, and they are already talking about coalition. It means that some of these are politicians, they don't know the principles, the definition of the various words that they do in politics. That's why I say some of our politicians need to go back and do a little bit of political science to have a knowledge of terminologies that actually...
Irrespective of the words, let's talk the issue.
To go further into... No, that's the issue.
Yes.
If I see somebody that is a socialist going to be a candidate in a liberal party, I should ask myself, how does it function? You cannot be a conservative and you go and be a candidate in a liberal party.
Yes.
Those are the principles of politics.
Back to my question, Keja.
Yes.
When the CPDM sees this, is the CPDM happy about all this?
And as I say, any political party that supports our ideology, of course, that supports our number one statesman, President Paul Biya, His Excellency, and fun of fun, we are okay with that political party.
Are you saying that
today, Mr. Bapolipot support the candidacy of President Paul Biya, of course, he's a friend to our party.
Does he have the capacity to do that, to decide on behalf of the UPC? Given that the National Assembly and the Supreme Court recognize...
Which of the UPC are you talking about?
I'm talking about UPC.
Which of the UPC?
Please, let me land. Please, let me land. We are talking here... Please, Keja, please.
We are wasting time. We don't talk of a divided UPC.
Keja, please.
UPC is one with different ideas.
We are rather wasting...
Oh, different fractions.
Different ideas and different visions.
Let us not waste time on this. It is clear that there is a Secretary General that came up after a General Assembly, which is Baligen. And then after all the court cases and whatsoever, the Supreme Court still said he was the right Secretary General. When you see Bapolipot today coming out to talk as Secretary General on behalf of the party, does that make any sense?
You see, Mr. Bapolipot has his follower in the party. And so if he's supporting the CPDM, it's not only him as a person, but his own followers, people that are d'accord with him. My co-panelist from UPC says that it's one UPC with different ideology. Yeah. So Mr. Bapolipot is coming to support the CPDM with people that have his own ideology, which of course are appreciated.
Okay, Keja.
But we should go back to the basic of politics.
When you look at this, division within parties, division even at the level of the different political, opposition political parties, unable to come together. What accounts for this?
Greed, selfishness, power mongering. Everybody wants to lead, and that cannot take us anywhere.
Yeah.
I think it was on this your very platform. I say I don't do politics, but to give a better idea or befitting idea to fellow Cameroonians, let's come back to a one-party system. Let's all rally.
You think so?
No, listen, please. Let's all rally behind the CPDM. I'm not saying that to please you, Mr. Cliquez. Yes. Why?
Please, you have to learn.
We say in pidgin, if person pass you, carry it back. All this disorder you see in other political parties is being caused, it is a game, it's being caused by the CPDM. Because please, that's how politics is. I destabilize you to continue leading. It is my strategy. As a business, what I would say is, let us all...
The issue is that we cannot say with authority if it is the CPDM, since we don't have proofs.
I have proof.
Please.
Okay, you do have proof.
Listen, let me tell you.
I'm going to answer that question.
CPDM is what? The ruling party.
Yes.
They are the actual government that is leading the affairs of this country.
Yes.
Because normally, if they were not happy about the situation, the about 300-something political party would have been streamed down to maximum 5. Just allowing everything is to do what? Infiltrate the place. Please.
Okay, please.
So, please, can I talk?
Try to learn, please.
Let's rally behind CPDM until the day our father will be called home. Cameroon will have a rebirth.
Okay. Madam Akwen, what is happening that the factions are just multiplying? What is the fundamental problem?
Before answering your question, there is something you asked him and he didn't answer. You told him that what's the problem? What really makes it in such a way that in the UPC we are divided?
Not only in the UPC.
The UPC and let's just say politicians in general, political parties. One, I would tell you that the UPC has been divided by, the government. They use what we call the divide and rule. It's a clear example because in a party where we had our Congress, Dr. Baligen was being put in the party as the Secretary General, elected Secretary General, and a member, a state man, the Minister of Territorial Administration, would tell the party that he knows just the Dr. Mbapo as the SG. It means they are the ones causing the distraction. They are the ones causing the divide and rule in parties. So it is a clear evidence because he said he doesn't have an evidence. I have this evidence.
Okay.
Because you cannot come in a party where we have our rules and regulations, we have our Congress, and you come, we have elected somebody, you choose your own person. It happens still with the party of Edith Kawala, the CPP. So these things are evidence that it is the government who is destroying political parties. Not only the UPC, not only, let's say, the party of, Edith Kawala. And on the other hand, I would tell you that politicians in Cameroon don't know what they want. Opposition in Cameroon, they are not patriotic. Why? Because recently, we call on the mass registration into the electoral list. I went out and I told people, you're calling Cameroonians to go and register into the electoral list. What are the policies you have put in place to protect the voice, the person they will choose? Okay? Because if you cannot give us a coalition, you cannot come out with a coalition that will make the people, that will push the people to go and vote. Then you are not called for it. You only go out to tell them, go and vote. In 2025, we're going to have, what will happen. So it's to tell you that politicians in Cameroon, they are not patriotic.
Okay.
Politicians in Cameroon, they don't know what they want. They are hungry. And I tell you, it is the government still because they say they keep you hungry.
Do you mean some of these politicians are taking the political post like a job?
It's not like a job. Politics is a lifestyle. Nobody, like he said, you have to go to a political school or study political science before becoming a politician. No. Politics is a lifestyle, okay? It's either you are an active politician or a passive one.
Okay.
An active one is like we are active, but everybody is a born politician because you choose your path. You have a voice, you have something to say.
Thank you.
That is why we call people to be more professional. No, it's not a profession. It is not a profession. Politicians is not a profession.
Yes.
But they receive
You are a
salaries.
politician or a teacher. Your profession is
There are politicians that receive their salary. To be a mayor, you must be a politician.
Please, Keja, please, Keja. Yes.
It's not a discipline.
Okay. Let's come back. Barrister Asong, are you aware of the challenges that awaits you like an independent candidate? How do you intend to overcome such?
Of course, I'm very aware of the challenges that has to do with independent candidacy, considering the fact that I need 300 signatures, 30 from every region from certain personalities. But nevertheless, I strongly believe that there's nothing which is impossible. And I think that today, the political landscape of Cameroon is that which is pushing the population to get interested and get involved in politics. You know, in the 2018 presidential elections, we had about 6.6 million registered voters, and only about only about 3.6 million people voted, and about 3 million were absent. And when you look at it, deep into it, you see that 2.5 voted for 4.5.
Yes.
Just move on. I'm very certain it's 3.6. Of course, 3.1 was absent.
So how many people voted?
Let's move on, please.
No.
Listen. Let him land, please.
I said 6.6 million voters were registered, and about 3.5 million voted. There were about 3 million voters who did not participate at all.
Right on, please.
CPDN had 2.5 million votes, and the opposition as a whole had 1 million votes.
Go on.
So what I'm trying to say is that due to the difficulties being faced today Elecam records 8.1 voters in general, and we have almost about 1.6 million new voters. And you see, when you look at those who registered, you realize that the youths were about 489,000. They topped the list. Second by the men, who were about 400,000, and women about 330,000. So what we are realizing here is that there is a desire for change. And I strongly believe that it is that desire for change that will uplift my candidacy as he who is able to bring the change that all Cameroonians desire. You know, politics has its own dynamics, and it's very, very strange because you never know who can create the change or bring the miracle. And that's why today we have seen that. I'm lying. That's why today we see that there's even a prophecy. The UPC have a prophecy. I don't know why they are not sharing it, because if they share, if they believe in that prophecy,
maybe they don't believe in it.
No. If they believe in that prophecy, they will clearly see that I am the one who has to be there. Of course. Wait. No. And reasons. Wait. No. And my reasons. I am an Anglophone. I am a Francophone. I have a parent who is an Anglophone. My father, my mom, her dad is Bassa. Her mother is Awuza. I am, of course.
These are borrowed cultures.
Madam,
these are borrowed cultures. You are a Cameroonian. Don't tell us you are from the north.
It is important.
Okay.
Because please.
What we retain is that.
Please.
What we retain is that. Please. What we retain is that you are an Anglophone, you are Francophone, and you are a Cameroonian.
And I'm there to unite Cameroon because we have a problem of reintegration and national unity.
We don't have that.
Okay, please. Keja, that should be your last word, please.
Yes, to chip to what my co-panelist said as a candidate, I was expecting to get but his manifesto. I was expecting...
That was not the question. That was not the question. That is not the question.
Liberal Party.
Keja, this is not your time for campaign, please.
It's not time for campaign. Right. The electoral body has not yet been called.
Your last word.
There's a difference between manifesto and there's a difference between being a socialist.
Keja, please.
No, it's not
Please. No, you cannot produce a manifesto.
Please, he has a mic.
Permit me to laugh.
He has a mic.
Sorry, I was talking about manifesto, and I was still going to know if he is a liberalist or a socialist, but he was not very patient to attack.
Just go on.
But that's not even the issue. What I want to say is that our politicians having a coalition, or they should know that they are prepared. They should have an alliance.
Je vais chercher le ballon. Dépêche-toi.